Valley Pharmacy and the Spice Isle Imaging Center.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Good evening once again, everyone, and welcome to Doctor on Call. Yes, indeed. We're back from our Carnival break, and of course, we're moving ahead now with our regularly scheduled programs. Of course, I told you that earlier this evening, but of course, it's time for a Doctor on Call program. Dr. Sonia Nixon with us. We welcome you, all our viewers on GBN Television, 711, our viewers on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and of course, our listeners on K105 FM. It's good to have you back, and of course, we will be sharing with you information, as always, information that you can use to help you to take better care of your health. All right, let's welcome Dr. Nixon. Doc, how are you doing? And how was your carnival?
Good evening, Grenada. We all survived Jab Jab and all of Carnival. Did you play?
No, I don't engage in such things. I prefer to stay at home and abuse my television viewing.
Well, the truth is, I don't really play either. But some people have to watch, as it's not everybody has to play.
Yeah.
I went into town. I don't live very far. I went on to Port Highway, and by 9:30 I was washed and dried and in my bed.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours. I love Jab Jab. Okay. I think Jab Jab is the most original Grenadian thing, one of the most original Grenadian things I've seen. I like real jab, not the little corporate jab that have all you play, all you go down there and somebody dab, look black on your cheek and your clothes get dirty and you decide. I'm talking about bona fide jab.
I'll tell you this, I can give you a full lecture on jab. I'll just say this, I'm from Tivoli in St. Andrews.
So, right.
That's the home of the real jab, what we used to call yay. So I know about jab, and that's the real deal. That's the real deal.
And then I like traditional Grenadianness. I really do. I can tell you, and maybe I shouldn't say this because this is funny. I was morbidly afraid. I kid you not, until I was finished medical school, afraid of short knee. I like the color and I like the bells and the rhythm and the movement. But that dead look on the face mask, they just look like a dead person just looking at you, scared me to death. But that's not all. I knew as a child, and even growing up as a young adult, that if the powder touched me, I was going to melt.
Yeah, I've always said, in fact, I've committed to playing short knee sometime. I don't know when yet. But
yes, I want to play short knee once in my life.
I will. I definitely will play short.
And I've come to like vaping. My first exposure was not very pleasant. In 1972, when we had a big crap in St. George's.
Right, I remember that. Yes.
I like the movement of the vaping. I really like that pendulous movement that they have, and the fact that they're quiet. And there's that coordination among themselves, that almost like they have a fish line that hold all of them together, so nobody goes out of space. The distance between each is constantly maintained by the rocking and the going forward. Love it.
I have a little friend. I have a little friend from Guav. His name is Sion. In my opinion, he's the best vehicle. He's about 6 years old.
I saw a young man playing with a group of, he was wearing like a Grenadian costume. His costume was of the Grenadian flag colors. He's a young vehicle, and there was the others behind him who had on the gold, black, silver and black and stuff. And it's funny because he had like almost like a hoodie kind of mask. His mask had allowed his eyes and his nose. And he came down this little pathway, right? With about 8 or 10 adults behind him, but he was in front. And it's just a video. And he was so disengaged from the spectators. It was remarkable, which is what I really like about Vicky. They in their own little space, and he came down with that cadence, that body movement, right? Yes. And he didn't look at anybody. And one lady said, "Hey, you don't even watch us."
I'll tell you this, maybe next year you might play mass. I think I probably play a mass band next year. A traditional mass band, very inexpensive and not fast-paced. So people like me and you, we could actually enjoy it.
I want to see Jab Jab quoting the Bible. I want to see Jab Jab.
No. Let me correct you here, Doc. Jab Jab don't quote the Bible. Jab Jab spell. All right?
Spell. No, I've seen Jab Jab quoting Bible.
No,
and I've seen Jab Jab spelling too.
They spell.
Right? And I've seen Jab Jab saying poetry.
Anyway, folks,
for all of that.
What does all of that?
Time. You know, Carnival is a time that all of us look forward to after 2 years. When's the last Carnival? 2019? Nothing in 20. Yes. 20, nothing 21. So after 3 years hiatus, that big old space of something that we all enjoy. You go to St. George's and you see 20,000 people on the road. You wonder where they come from, how they reach and how they're getting back home. When did you get here? You know, I live in this vicinity. How come I never see you before? How come I never seen so many of you? And we have a lot of people coming into the island, and all of those have their own public health challenges. You know, are there enough bathrooms for us? Is there presence of water for us to drink? Are we drinking too much? Whatever it is. But, you know, it's a good time. It's a good time for festivities and families and friends being around. A time for people to relax, drop their guard, and, you know, just get some relief from whatever stresses they have. And a lot of people take vacation, or kids are on vacation. So it's a time for families to come together and do things with their children. But then comes Wednesday, and life has to go back to normal. We have to think about how much of our normal life we've actually preserved, even doing so. Have I drunk too much? Have I eaten too much of the right thing? Have I taken my medications? Did I give whatever potential disease I had underlying? Did I give it that golden opportunity to manifest itself? So, you know, this is a really good time. We have this 3 weeks between now and school starting back to look at all of the things that we may have missed, or the little follies we may have committed that can put us in trouble as far as our health is. And if not, it's just still a good time to check and make sure that things good. You know, I'm really taking stock and making sure that I'm okay.
Yes, indeed. Very, very important. So, Doc, yes, Carnival celebration is over. Some of us have played, some of us played mass, some of us didn't. But in some way or the other, we may have engaged in things that probably was not very good for our health. I'm not saying everybody. You know, I'm just thinking here, a large percentage of our population play mass. So those jab, the old oil on the skin, you know, the inhalation of, you know, in a congested atmosphere, the consumption of maybe a little more alcohol than normal, and all of these things, the eating of the greasy foods and all of that. And so we probably didn't think for a moment that it's important to pay attention. Some of us probably didn't take our medication. So we've gone through all of that. So let's discuss it, Doc. Maybe what are some of the things that as a practitioner, as a physician, you sort of anticipated, and what should people be doing now that the celebration is over?
So I want us to first look at the whole issue, and it has come up a lot for some reason this year. Ordinary people mentioning the use of old oil on our skin. And it's not that we do this every day. We play jab. Most people play jab 1 day a year, okay? But these are products of combustion and have a whole lot of toxins. and we put them on our skin. Our skin is our biggest organ, and a lot of stuff is actually absorbed through our skin. We still have not had our own research, unfortunately, as to what the outcomes, what the problems related with absorbing these hydrocarbons through our skin. There's probably speculation, but there's no evidence to the fact. And this is a golden opportunity, because we talk all the time about, are we going to engage in research among our own populations, looking at the challenge that we have. And this is really a good time. I think it's come up so many times, and it's not only just come up by us. I've heard people who work in global health speaking about this old oil on our skin. What I know, however, is that there are agencies, there are people who are currently agents, I should say, who are currently looking for the less toxic way, the most innocuous way. Like we used to use before. What used to use before? Lard oil
yes, we use lard.
Lard and charcoal. Right? How fine do you grind the charcoal to make it last? What do you use to keep it on our skin? Hopefully we can go back to something that is still considered innocuous, that is considered non-toxic, that we can enjoy something that is so indigenous to us, right? Because people have also spoken, apart from the application of that old oil, the old oil that our cars no longer want. Imagine, right? Your car no longer wants it. It's collected and it's used on our skins. People are also speaking about not just at Carnival, but in Carnival you find large amounts of disposal of that oil into the system, going to an aquifer system, into a underground water system and stuff, and other areas. Is it good on in a garden? Is it good if the vegetables absorb it and you eat it? All of those things. So there are lots of stuff we have to think just in relation to just plain jab jab, right? Because jab jab comes with that one challenge. So I'm going to talk just about that as an environmental health problem and a personal health problem as a result of using toxins that are available in our surroundings.
Right.
So that's that for jab jab and oil. So you spoke about what have we done otherwise. So one of the things that I did, you went in St. George's during Carnival. It was hot as the devil's mother's kitchen fireside. It was really just hot. I've never felt so hot. I tell us home by 9:30. Usually I go to Juve early. I went late because the bands were coming in late. But the point is, it was extremely hot. We did speak to people about making sure that you're appropriately hydrated, right? Rum is not hydration. Rum is actually make you even more dehydrated. It will. Dilates your blood vessels. You lose a lot more water through your skin and all the rest of it. So people still have opportunity to get those fluids back inside, because it has continued to be hot, even if we're not out there. You still feel tired, you feel lethargic, keep on. Coconut water is the best thing. All this available, it's relatively affordable, and most of us have a tree in the back of our yard, or by the neighbor we can beg to coconut water. We have taken our children out. Have we really protected them, from the extreme heat, from the extreme sunlight? Have we ensured that they had enough rehydration, fluids that would make them feel not so cranky? And I've seen parents with kids, and the kids are cranky, and I'm like, give them something to drink. Get some coconut water, get a juice, a decent juice, something for the kids to drink on the street, because that is one of the challenges. So, personal safety, I don't know. Have you heard of any major incidences of people being caught, break their foot?
I heard of a couple. However, I do not know about the extent. Yeah, and the fact. Based on the police report, there were no major incidents. There were little minor scuffles. And you'd always find that. There were accidents. Yes, there were some accidents. I did come across a couple accidents, but based on the police report, there were no major or serious incidents during the carnival.
There was an incident of a visitor who had fallen off one of the trucks.
I heard about that one. That would have been what, Carnival Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon.
Yes, I heard about it. I don't know the condition of the lady, whether she.
So, but it speaks to the fact about being responsible for yourself. It speaks to the fact that band owners, leaders, promoters, whatever they're called, are going to have to ensure that there is safety measures put into place so that people are not at risk at all.
That's right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Because you get inebriated, you lose your balance, you lose your sense of direction, right? And at least that truck was not moving, right? If it were a moving truck, she may not have had the dexterity to remove herself from the path of the truck. And of course, ensuring that the vehicles are prepared in a way so that all of that, covering the wheels on the side, having marshals that control the vehicles, because people lose their inhibitions when they are drunk, when they have consumed alcohol. You may not feel drunk, but you do lose your inhibition. That is why you can run around and dance and don't care what you see. Right? Things that we don't normally do. Alcohol does that to us, makes us quite relaxed and allows us to do things that make us enjoy it, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the safety, and of course, I guess it provides drink and food. The overconsumption of alcohol. Unfortunately, there's still people who can't consume a lot of alcohol, right? Is it worth drinking because you spend so much money to be in the band, or you have money to spend drinking to a point where you don't even remember what happened at Carnival? Is it worth it? And that's a decision individuals are going to have to make. Is it worth getting up with a headache in the morning, or missing Monday night mass because you were so drunk on Juve morning? And Monday night mass is a nice place to be, right? And I think, one of the things we have to mention that Grenada is still a relatively safe place, thank God, that people come out and do stuff. And that's something we have to really try and preserve in order for our carnival product to be viable, right? Continue to maintain the safety. And that's everybody's responsibility, right? There's no need to walk around with knife and gun and all the rest so that, people are threatened. And then you hear, hey, they cut one guy belly in Carnival in Grenada. Don't go, it's unsafe. Right? So we have to remember, and remember, when you drink, you're going to lose inhibition. A man might brush your shoulder and you think he's being aggressive, when in truth and in fact, somebody else might have just pushed him. Okay, there's a lot of people on
Yep, indeed.
So those are the safety issues. Now, a lot of us don't know that we actually have underlying health problems, and the disinhibition, that unnatural freedom that we tend to acquire when you have big festivities can be the precipitating time. So let's say you heading towards diabetes. The fact that you drink too much, which is alcohol is sugar, right? Alcohol is sugar, basically.
Definitely.
Right? Drink too much, eat too much food, all kind of everything, right? Stress is helpful because rest is very important in preventing disease, okay? Mostly those drink and eat, even if you're drinking just sodas or whatever you're drinking on the street, right, may have tipped you over. If you already, I want to look at that first. I think this is a good time for everyone to take stock. If you have been healthy, it's still a good time for people to take stock. Go do your annual visits. Make sure you get your blood sugar and your blood pressure. And in the case of our men, your prostate. In the case of our women, your breasts. Just go look at stuff, especially the things that can have be compensated as a result of our partying, right? Your blood pressure gone up, or your blood pressure start to show high, or your sugar all of a sudden become decompensated. Are you feeling unnaturally tired? You have challenges with what your appetite has become like and all the rest of it. This is a good time to take stock, right? A good time to start. September morning is what I call is a really good time. You go back to work, your children gone back to school, whatever it is. This is a good time to take stock of your own self. But do you already have an illness? Have you been taking your medication? Are you one of the persons who during the festivity time took on a kind of hedonistic pattern of life and just did whatever? You just make it go on just so, right? Time to have fun, right? Forget that you still needed to take your medication, that you still needed to do a little exercise in a day, which I guess if you're out in the band ramaging, that's exercise. But it is exercise. And a lot. think about it. Will you walk from Grand Anne's post office to town? You're not walking from Grand Anne's post office to town if you have a car, right?
Well, of course not.
I know people who dance for 6 hours for 2 days straight. So that's a lot of exercise, okay? But still, people who were just spectators, did you exercise? Take a medication. I'm taking my medication because I want to take 2 drinks. It's Carnival, blah, blah, blah. I'm taking my pressure medication. I'm taking my shit. Please. And long time I come to Grenada, I come to have fun. I want to have a little time with my boys or my girlfriend. I'm in the country. I want to do X. I want to do Y. Right? And then, of course, we don't. And when we check ourselves, our blood sugar, our blood pressure is out of check it. This is a good time. What is done is done. What can we undo? What can we continue to prevent is very important. So checking your sugar, checking yourself, putting back. The other thing, and we spoke about this before as well, before Carnival, we spoke about people's emotional health.
Yes.
A lot of us live by ourselves, right? And you might want to go to a party where they don't really have nobody to go with. So a lot of people have been isolated. They've been on their own. Or you go to a party and people come with their groups, you're alone. And even if you're in a group, it might not be people who you all know. So I think there's a lot of mental health challenges that have come out of Carnival, isolatedness, or parents or grandparents who you normally take care of. You go to party, you go to what's the Tuesday night fete that starts off Carnival, and then you go to pre-day, and then you go to the ones in the country, and then you come back Saturday night and you have King of Calypso and Soca Monarch, and you have the other fete in the stadium, and then you have Pier 57, and you just had a lot of parties. Mm-hmm. So people have been going, but some people go alone because they can afford to, and they just go and they go to look for the fun and the dance. But there hasn't been for everybody the same amount of inclusiveness and camaraderie. Or if your friends are all gone and you're home, right? You may not be in a good place mentally. So check yourself. All right? And then if you went to the party on Tuesday, and then you went to pre-day, and you went to one on Thursday, and you went to all the show, and you go Pier 57 on Sunday, and then you go to what's that, Extreme White? I'm learning all of this, okay?
The biggest white.
The biggest white. But you're broke. Well, it's supposed to be broke, okay? Have you paid your bills? Do you have money for rent at the end of the month? Or mortgage on your car or on your house?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Hey, but then September 6th is school day morning, right? Do you trying to have their books or the uniforms lined up?
But what about the money for the medication? Did you Did you remember that you need to get your medication after all of this, so that you need to have the money to get it?
Yes. The doctor mightn't trust you.
Yeah, there we go.
So we have to keep in mind, check emotional health, check your financial health. Are your children being safe? Are they okay? Have we taken our children to the doctor? Remember, we talked about it as well, that our children need to have at least one checkup before they go to school. And of course, remember when you're little, your mother used to give you Vermafuse?
Castor oil.
God, I think that thing should be banned. I'm serious. If I drink I've had gas oil twice in my life after I was cajoled for an hour and a half. And all I remember is my head spinning, and I can't get up for 2 days. Hate that thing.
Yes.
But no, your parents give you warm medicine. We definitely need to give our children.
And you had to get a washout.
Yeah, you get a washout. What, you get Epsom salt or castor oil? You got?
Well, yeah. No, you used to get Senna.
Senna, yeah. Right? It's bad too. But you get Senna. Or some people get Miss Alba.
Yeah.
Miss Alba has magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salts, and some antacid. That thing that settles in the bottom. And I'll put a peppermint, so it's not so bad. Right? So it's white mist, basically, but it's Epsom salts mist. And Epsom salt is, Epsom salt is like passing a bath broom. So we give our children, we get a washout. But it's important to give ourselves, everybody, a dose of warm medicine. We've been so intimate that we don't keep. Now, the other big thing is that we've been up in each other's face, right? You notice that we've seen an increase. 70 persons were diagnosed yesterday with COVID.
Yep.
COVID has not gone anywhere. There was a big report in the media last week that COVID is still here, still very here, very present. And while it has not been as serious as it was last year, because last year this time we were almost up to 200 people dead. In 6 weeks, right? No, but 234. That the 34 happened from
for the period. Yes,
But in the summer last year we had 199 because one gentleman had died early in the year, right? But COVID is alive. And guys, the problem is we do not know what COVID is going to cause down the road. That is our problem. We've seen a lot of people with complications, right? Heart problems and other stuff. But we don't know in the long term because it's still very new, and probably one of the most diverse diseases we've seen in modern time. We've also seen how the variations change because the variant that currently exists causes more gastro symptoms than respiratory symptoms. Okay? So you might say, I haven't had COVID. When true, and in fact, you've had it. You just think you just have a little gastroenterologist.
Okay.
Please, it is still necessary to wash your hands and sanitize. Still very necessary. Still necessary to cough into your sleeves. It's still necessary to cover your mouth. So Godfrey and I, Godfrey's in the studio, I'm in my space. It's still necessary for us both to for everybody, especially in public spaces, to protect yourself first and protect the people around you. All right? So washing your hands, keeping your distance. You don't have to be up in everybody's faces. We've done enough of that for the last 2 weeks, right? And of course, ensuring that you wear a mask in public. It's not as fashionable, but it's still as necessary. Don't let anybody tell you anything to the contrary. All right? Okay. So that's COVID.
But before we go to COVID, before we move on to something else, we need to take a short break, and then we're gonna come back with it. So stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Our upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.
Here is a little known fact. There is only one place in Grenada that you can get an MRI scan done. That place is Spicile Imaging Center. Yes, Grenada, that's the truth. Other centers could offer you other scans, but Spicile Imaging provides an authentic MRI scan. Here's another little known fact. Spicile Imaging has 3 centers. We operate at Grenville, the Carnage, and at the Ocean House, Grandlands. We provide the widest range of laboratory tests and services. CT scans, x-rays, mammograms, ultrasounds, and a host of other services. We are fully staffed by a team of family doctors and specialists. Call us today at 444-7679 or 406-1500 or visit any of our 3 locations. Spice Cell Imaging, from seeing the doctor to getting lab tests, scans, and pharmacy services. We are here to take care of you.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grandans, Victoria Street, Brandon, and Central Deputy Street, Guelph. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
Abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dr. and Call. And of course, you can, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, that's if you're on our Facebook page, you can type your question, or you can also send us a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp number 435-2041. In a little bit, we'll open our telephone line, so if you have any questions, you can also give us a call. Doc, the next important thing that we need to pay attention to, and lately I have started getting some complaints about it. We are in the rainy season. Mosquitoes.
So it's no longer a joke. It's not mosquito 1, mosquito 2, mosquito jump in the old man. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's mosquito 1,000, mosquito 2,000. I mean, mosquitoes have just been very prolific. Everywhere you go, they are. So we still have things like we don't see them as much. There's still a possibility of Zika.
Right.
There's still a possibility of chikungunya. And there's certainly dengue around. And I told you, when I was a little girl, we never had dengue. Dengue is now endemic. It's around. It will happen. It will pop up. Zika is also endemic. We just haven't seen much of it since the big Zika move of 2017 and chikungunya from 2014. But there are people who get them from time to time, and they all called by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Okay, you can't miss that mosquito. It comes out in the twilight and early in the morning, right? It looks like a race flag. Sometimes the body looks like little squares, black and silver squares, and the legs certainly look like black and silver stripes. Okay, I mean circles around, right? It's very distinctive. The truth is, it carries disease from one person to the next. And while we don't have things like malaria, we do have other things, right? So you need to protect yourself. Dengue in particular, which is more prevalent, more present, right? Dengue and and we have a higher incidence, a higher number of new cases than the other diseases, is potentially deadly.
Yes, indeed.
There's a condition called hemorrhagic dengue, meaning hemorrhage as in bleeding, where you can actually bleed, and you could have had dengue before. It doesn't necessarily mean that it happens on your first dengue spin, because you just can get dengue more than once. Okay, we have to watch out for hemorrhagic dengue because you will die very quickly because of how that virus affects you. Okay, your blood loses its capacity to prevent clotting within itself, and you just bleed and die. Right? So what do we do to prevent mosquito bites? Well, we have to prevent the presence of mosquitoes. This mosquito in particular likes fresh, clean water, stagnant water. It's not going to go into murky water, but if you have water standing in a bucket, even if you have a little bit of green lally in the bottom, mosquito larvae will proliferate, will go there, will proliferate, will multiply. Okay? Water in your pots in your house. Some of us have evergreen plants that we just put in water.
Yeah.
You know, those things that grow. I don't know, you call them ivy, not really ivy, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Right? Those succulents that you put into water, you need to take them out every so often and wash them. I had a very bad view that I saw a pot with a jar with water. Luckily it was transparent, and I had like 100 mosquitoes. They just come out the hatch, it's still white, right? That you had to get rid of. The mosquito only need a drop of water, and this is the rainy season. So a mosquito needs a drop of water to hatch its eggs and to create little terrors, right? So you have to get rid of places where cover the drums. Some people still need to collect water in drums for their domestic use. People who have farms may not have access to water and they collect thing. A mosquito will fly. The breeze will blow mosquito from a long way and they'll fly and come to your house. So cover the water. Make sure you don't have containers that have plants that you don't. You have to take the plants and the roots and scrub and wash everything properly, because those eggs will kind of catch on to the side of the container or to the part of the plant that's submerged in water. So you have to get rid of mosquitoes. Your children, what do? You live in a place where there's a lot of mosquitoes. You make sure your children's skin is covered. Light colored clothes, because most mosquitoes like dark colored clothes and dark spaces. We see that every day, especially the Aedes aegypti. So make sure children wear light colored clothes, cover their feet, especially the children. And we want to look at girls' skin, not all our children, but we want our girls not to have, what do you call it? Galley foot and galley hand and all the rest of it. Let's protect the aesthetics of our children as they grow. That's our responsibility. If you don't do that, it's really being neglectful. Cover the children's hands, use repellents, safe repellents. You can still use DEET. We can use the other things like Odomos and stuff, even with pregnant women, things that are safe. So let's keep ourselves from getting mosquito-borne diseases. Any other mosquito-borne disease we need to be cautious about?
These are the three ones, especially dengue. Very, 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 very.
And some people will, do a lot of smoking in the community. If you find that there's a lot of mosquitoes in your community, just call the Department of Health. They will come around. Call the Environmental Health Department, and they will come around and make sure that the mosquito situation is put under control. Your neighbor has 2 drums that he wouldn't cover or whatever it is. If he doesn't want to follow you, just call the Environmental Health Department. They will come and help you to ensure. No stagnant water in your yard. You have a pool with water, get rid of that. Okay, it's raining, find a way to drain water that will stay, because it's not raining every day. Mosquitoes will hatch in 3 days. The thing that we call wild pine that we use, the people, you come from the country, that they used to make and plants like bromeliads, those plants that have leaves that in there, mosquitoes will proliferate. So you have to make sure that if you have those around the house, that they're not harboring water in which the mosquitoes can breed and multiply and spread all around the place.
Well, there are a lot of things there. I mean, for example, earlier we mentioned coconut water. If you cut the coconut and you have it open up like that, and a small amount of water gathers in there, that is more than enough for mosquitoes to breed.
So disposal of garbage is very important. How we dispose of garbage.
That's right.
In every community in Grenada, the garbage truck passes at least once a week. If you live in the town of St. George's and its environs, the garbage truck passes every day. So there's no need for us to have garbage around our houses, right? If you have garbages, we collect the garbage in a bucket. If you don't have plastic bags, it's better if you have a plastic bag. You can tie it. When the garbage man comes, he picks it up and he puts it into the truck. That gets compressed. But old tins, bottles and stuff that you might just have over there catching water, you just need one drop for mosquito to come in and hatch. If you're gonna buy tin stuff, even if you buy, like when you have beers and stuff in tins, refreshments, you need to put a hole at the bottom of it, right? To make sure that water doesn't stay in there when it gets outside. So disposal of all garbage is very important for us not to harbor mosquitoes and give them the opportunity to multiply and become bigger nuisances than they need to be.
While we're in that and, like keeping our surroundings clean, not just mosquitoes, but rats and mongoose and things like that. These animals, they carry diseases as well. And once they find dark places, they make themselves very comfortable there.
Very comfortable, right? And you speak of rats. If we have a garbage and stuff around our house, rats will come and forage. They'll come into your kitchen if you don't clean it properly. Roaches, but rats in particular carry leptospirosis. Right? Leptospirosis is a disease caused by leptospira, a bacteria that attacks the liver. So within a week, you can get into acute liver failure, sudden liver failure, and die. Right? Comes on with fever and feeling sick, and then your eyes get yellow because your liver under serious pressure. Right. And and a lot of people those who die because of leptospirosis, not because you can't treat it, but by the time you come to the hospital or the time you recognize it, there's so much damage done to your liver, it's not possible to reverse it. Right. So, and it is something that happens. I know people who have died of leptospirosis in the last 10 years, right here.
I do know of 2 individuals.
Yes. So, we still like Burjuk mango because it says the sweetest, but sometimes Burjuk mango is rat bite mango, right? And it's not. No, it's seriously. So if you see a Burjuk, Burjuk might be sweet, but you kind of need to cut away wide around it and preferably not consume it, right? Fruits and stuff that we think of stuck by birds are maybe in fact eaten by rats who carry very efficiently. If you see rat droppings at your house, you need to get rid of them. If you have a problem eliminating, call them the health department. They will try and figure out how to do it, right? We have to prevent ourselves from diseases that we can do. And since we clean in house after Carnival, this is a good time to look at all of those things. We have had a lot more bottles because we buy more drinks. We had fete and we accumulated wood to cook fire and all the rest, and make the spaces for those vermin to come along and take up house in our stuff. You should clean up all the garbage that you've had from the cook you had at the back of your house, put it in a garbage can. You put it in a bucket. When the truck passes, you'll empty it into the truck and ensure that the environment is clean. When you're a little boy, you used to come to town often?
No.
So there was a place, the municipal building is that building right over the market, over the market, at the top. It opens on Grenville Street, right? And I remember clearly the garbage trucks in town. This is I'm not going to tell you what decade you realize how old I am. But they had the sign was dirt will hurt, keep the city clean. And it's not just dust that fall on your dirt. It meant the things that we threw. And there is a lot of garbage that we produce.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to think, if you went to buy... And this is all due respect to the companies that sell this. If you want to buy fried chicken and chips from that commercial company, right? You get your chicken, your chips, you get 2 packs of ketchup, right? You get a fork, a napkin, right? And you get a drink in a box. It's paper covered with wax. A plastic cover and a straw. The only thing that's good to eat there is the chicken and the chips. No, because everything else is garbage. So think of the amount of garbage we generate.
Yes.
We have to get into a situation where we recognize, unless I cannot dispose of my garbage properly, that is in a covered or potentially covered bin, right, or receptacle, I will keep my garbage with me. That's everybody's responsibility, to hold on to your garbage until you find a sanitary place to dispose of it. I see people filling bottle here. I was a little disappointed at Carnival because I thought they'd have more receptacles for those things. So our nice people just throw the bottle anywhere. I mean, they just like bottle all over. You think jab and bottle go together. No.
What people can do like me, I keep a small bin in my car. Anything I use, I just push my hand to the back, drop it in there. Usually if I get to a bin or when I get home, I dispose of it properly. And I think, things like that people need to do. But, you see people, they're eating something and they just throw it out of the car, they throw a bottle out of the car, they throw a paper out of the car. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's untidy.
The tourist board and Pure Grenada has a very good ad. You saw that ad? With a guy going to Jab and then he going to Coochie Mass, and then in the night he's down on Wall Street eating and just fling the chicken bone, and his friend reminds him, no way, brother, that's not good. I think that's a very good ad, and I think each of us needs to watch the ad and put ourselves into that space. Who am I? Am I the one who eats my fried chicken, and just fling the bones in, or the dog won't get it, and the friend has to remind you that the rats will get it, right? Am I the one who's a friend who's aware, right? Who's aware that disposing garbage correctly is my responsibility? And I wish most of us would become that guy. Getting rid of your garbage is your responsibility. Too often we have, I mean, I can tell you, you spend $16 and I don't know how much you spend. Let's say $16. I haven't bought a fast food like that. Let's say you spend $20 and you get a meal, right? And all you eat is the chicken, the fries. You get rid of the ketchup package, the box, the whatever line the box, the juice container cover, the fork, right? All of that. One person generates all of that garbage.
Right.
Why? Okay, we got into a situation not very long ago, 3 years ago, when we got really strict about plastics, where people were asked to bring their bags to the store, right? I don't see that happening anymore. People go in there and expect you that they buy a handkerchief that somebody puts in that bag. They'll still walk around with your shopping bag. People in very large, wealthy countries still walk with a shopping bag because they understand the importance of minimizing the amount of garbage that we generate.
Right.
Because when we have so much garbage generated, we don't have anywhere to dispose of it. Right?
Very important, folks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was one other thing we wanted to talk about, apart from the environmental thing.
Right. So before we let's just take a final break because we started a little late. We take a final break, folks, and when we come back, we would get into a final subject area, and then we'll open our telephone line so you can ask your questions. And so, if you have any, and or you want to come in, so stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Abuse.
It is important to know what your road signs and markings means. The zigzag lines means you should not park in the marked area. Parking is allowed inside the solid white lines on the edge of the road. Remember, look out for pedestrians. Pedestrians, be sure the vehicle comes to a complete stop before crossing. These tips can save your life. These tips can make our roads safer for all users. Be safe, be seen, be smart. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
You mentioned the wing high, then you have things like man, you must come back, We have the low power there.
When you push your push out, it is kind of like you say man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page and YouTube channel for We Culture.
Are you a small business and would like your business to grow? Do you have an event, products or services that people should know about? Be wise. Advertise. Book your spot on GBN Shopping Guide. Be part of Grenada's biggest advertising medium, the Grenada Broadcasting Network. Call our sales department now on 440-2446 or 440-3033 or GBN plus the number sign. Email us at sales@gbn.gd. Special conditions apply.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Okay, welcome back everyone. It's Dr. in Call. So our telephone line is open. The number is 435-2041. So if you have any questions you would like to ask, you can definitely do so now. Or if you'd like to contribute, you can do so. The number again, 435-2041. If you want to send us a WhatsApp message or send your question via WhatsApp, you can use the same number, 435-2041. All right, so the telephone line is open. You can give us a call right now. Doc, moving on while we wait for our calls. We did mention that we are in the rainy season. From time to time we get heavy showers. Sometimes the water gets a little dirty, and all of that. So it's important at all times that we have clean water to consume. Are there any waterborne disease that we should be concerned about at this time?
I don't know that there is waterborne disease. I know, like you just said, that we still need to make sure our water is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And healthy water looks very transparent. I've seen some not so clear water. It looks a little yellowish, like when you have Roman rocks, and that it's not transparent. It's not like having pure water. You know that water is not good.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For the sake of our children, we need to make sure we have bottled water that is considered that's supposed to have been purified. All of those impurities should have been removed out. Or we need to boil the water for like 15 minutes. You have to be boiling. Put the water on the stove and you boil and it starts boiling and you wait for 15 minutes. You cool it down, you bottle it into clean bottles and put it in the fridge or wherever you get your kiddie water from.
Okay.
All right? Lovely. But you have to remember to wash it. You still have to wash hands. Hand washing is probably the biggest savior we have for waterborne disease. One of the things that I've seen is that we've had some strange kind of virus recently that causes you to look like you have. It looks like you have the flu that comes with fever and headache and sore throat and joint pains and all of that, right? But then people get diarrhea. I've seen it in a few adults, more than a few adults, and I know that's something that started before Carnival, but it's here. We still need to be very careful, okay, because it's around. If you're the person who has that, if you have that whatever that viral condition is, that syndrome, which has a lot of different symptoms. You need to be washing your hands. You need to, make sure you go into the bathroom, wash your hands as much as possible. I advise people not to share utensils with other people in the house, not just yet, because it seems to be, whatever it is, seems to also be housed in the upper respiratory tract in the upper respiratory tract because people do get severe sore throat and stuff. You have diarrhea. I don't know. I don't see a lot of children, so I can't speak to that. I won't speak to that with any level of command. What I'm saying, if your child has diarrhea, please make sure mothers and fathers and whoever have little children that you always have rehydration salts at your house. Right? That will save a child's life. I remember being in a certain emergency room working, and this little boy came and he was just so very dehydrated. Eyes totally sunken. When you pinch your skin, it stays. You pinch your skin and it just stays like that because he was so dehydrated. And I took a 350 ml, the big cups of rehydration salts. And we tend not to give the kids, especially if they have been vomiting. We tend not to give them. We take a spoon and give them a teaspoon every couple of minutes, right? And I walked in and I'm talking to mother, explaining to her how she should administer this drink, right? And the little boy grabs my two hands, literally grabbed my two hands and put a cup to his head and drank down the 350 ml of fluid. I'm waiting for him to start vomiting. I looks at me and he smiles, and I see a totally different child.
Felt a lot better. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But mothers, I'm going to implore you that you have a little patience. Yes, sometimes the child might vomit again, but give him, because children actually rehydrate faster and better using oral rehydration. Okay. Adults, if you keep going and having lots of diarrhea or vomits, I would advise that if it's not settling down, you go to your clinic or your hospital. Well, go to the clinic because hospital can handle everybody. Or just go to your GP. Right? And let's get this done. But hygiene is probably the most important.
Okay. Let's go to the telephone, doctor.
Yeah. Hello, good night.
Yes, Dr. Nkor, good evening.
Yeah, good night, Doctor. Good night, Godfrey, and good night, Dr. Nixon. Doctor mentioned a few things which I want to either support or hope that we could elaborate on. One of it is the fact that people who get the COVID-19 is that that's not the end of things for them. I was telling an adult that this week, and she was actually arguing with me, no, there's no problem, because there is the after effect of the COVID on people. And I think we need to really emphasize to people that it's not just getting it and then going away like that. It could have long-term effect on you. So as much as possible, we should try and avoid getting it. So that's one. In terms of the mosquitoes, one of the things we have to take note of is the fact that as climate change, as the place gets hotter and the weather pattern change, it could give rise to more.
So I haven't heard anything.
You haven't heard anything
that the caller has said.
Hello? Are you not hearing me at all?
Okay, don't worry, caller. I'll just really. I've made some notes of the points you made. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So I'm saying that the one with the mosquitoes, because of the effect of climate change, we can have sort of situation where there's a rise in the unusual behavior of those vectors, and so we may not be able to manage if we don't pay close attention to how we, allow the. Well, I don't even know if I have the proper words to use, but we have to pay more close attention to the fact that it's not business as usual. You know, like where you had a seasonal change and then you expect some mosquitoes and things because of people's behavior and so on. But there are certain things that might be new because of climate change, so we have to pay more attention to that. There's another thing in terms of the heat also. I've been asked, doctor, if I could encourage you to maybe to even that less medium you have, perhaps to have a full-blown conversation on the heat situation. Because I could tell you, for me, I think it's getting to me right now. I have no respite, day and night, this heat. And then I'm living in an oven. I'm living in all those houses in La Calome, which was badly constructed. And it's really I'm becoming a little concerned about my own health, because even as I'm speaking to you right now, it's very, very heated, and there seems to be no respite. So if you could sort of do something or have some kind of conversation that people could really take this thing serious, the heat thing, because you mentioned it around Carnival, it's really serious. So I'll stop here and probably come back if depending on the traffic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. All right, Doc. So the first question he raised has to do with COVID-19. He's saying that, look, even if you get COVID and it goes away, there's a concern about the after effects. In other words, has COVID affected you in other ways other than what is the norm? And he's asking that we place some emphasis there. The other one has to do
let's do one at a time.
Yeah, okay. So let's go with that one.
So that's what we meant. We talk about long COVID and the complications of COVID. We know that essentially, the virus can attack any organ in your body. We've seen that the deaths that we have counted, the millions of people who have died, have had severe response to the virus, and that major organs like the brain and the heart and the lung and the kidneys, right? And some people with a vision were affected. Now, sometimes you can get COVID and don't have that big affectation, right? But it doesn't mean you're not going to have long-term. One of the things that has happened, a lot of people have not been able to understand, is just having depression, right? Just having it, or having long-term headaches, and which we think might be from all that inflammation of the blood vessels. Because remember, the blood vessels became very inflamed during COVID. So you have all that extravasation of liquids and all the things that happened because you had a whole lot of what we call vasculitis, inflammation, right? So you can actually have long-term heart problems, right? You can develop stroke. People can, I guess eventually we probably see people with things like dementia because of, inflammation and death of some of the tissues in the brain. Kidney failure we've seen. Circulatory problems, which has caused clots and other rest, in a lot of in people. So again, because COVID is relatively young, we don't know exactly what, but there's a lot of research going on. So I would ask the person to go online and see what the CDC or what National Institutes of Health are seeing, what is the research and what is happening, because this is going to be ongoing information. A lot of us dispel a lot of the information that was given to us by the World Health Organization, but we were learning as we went along. There has been ongoing research from them. So that is where you're going to figure out what's going on. But we have already seen people with challenges, especially cardiac problems, and young people in particular. What's the next question?
Yeah. So you were saying also that with the increase in climate change, that can cause a rise in some of the vectors that carry disease.
And that's a very important point, because increasing climate change will cause flooding. If you have flooding, you'd have backup of drain, you wouldn't have proper drainage, you'd have unusual rain patterns. Look at how our rain falls. I sat here on Sunday and it was really hot, very humid. That time, rain is gonna come down. You can hardly breathe because the humidity is intense. It's almost up to 100%. And there's a bowl of clouds, what we think would be normal rain clouds, comes over. And I actually wondered if after a while it disappeared, right? Seemed to move, because I expected to rain even for 5 minutes very heavily. No rain coming down. And I wondered if it actually rained and the water dissolved up in the air because it's so hot. Yes. So I think it is very important that this gentleman raises the issue of climate change and the increased amount of water and even the dryness, because that's the other end of the spectrum, right?
Two extremes.
We have a lot of drought and stuff. Drought means that we're going to have to collect water. There may not be water to collect. We collect water that's already contaminated, etc. And think of what it is. We probably go back to the things we saw in countries like in Africa, where we see children taking water in dirty rivers and stuff.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
So we still have to preserve our environment. It is important because nobody's going to do this for us. When last you planted a tree? Did you plant a tree when you bought your car? Did you plant a tree when your child was born? What did you do? Our Prime Minister just asked everybody to plant certain trees, but have you planted a tree ever? Did you plant a tree by the side of the road that doesn't belong to anybody, by the river? Somebody has to hold up the riverbank. Or have you cut down the trees on the river, in the land, your land that goes down to the river, have you cut down the tree to plant potatoes? Right? Or did you plant some trees that would still act as watershed and hold the water up? Right? What do you have out in the yard? Are you cutting the bush where rats can hide and water can accumulate and stuff? Those are the personal responsibilities that we all have as individuals, and in combating the realities, some of the realities that we have with climate change, and a lot of the realities that we have contributed to.
All right.
Are you throwing your garbage? Are you throwing your bottles down in the river? Or you wait until the garbage truck comes and is disposed of properly? Throw your stuff. I'm going to throw stuff. You go inside an edge of the river and just throw it on there. That's unfair to the river and the ecology. We still want to eat some crayfish.
Oh, yes, indeed. So, folks, the number is 435-2041. You can give us a call if you have any questions that you would like to ask, and we'll be more than happy to try and provide you with the information that you can use. Doc, as we get close to wrap-up time, one final thing I want to raise with you, and it's always of concern, our eating habits. All right. It is said that more people prefer to go to the
fast food store
pharmacies to get medication than to eat healthy and do a little exercise. So they know the medication is available, so they just do anything and then they hurry to get the medication.
So there's a big argument about it's cheaper to eat bad foods. It's too expensive to eat well. I don't agree with completely, okay? There's some things that are costly. But we know in Grenada, they claim that if you plant a buckle, it will grow because you have very fertile soil. And you don't have to have an acre of land to plant food for your family, right? You plant a bed of tomatoes, you plant a bed of beans or cabbage or carrots or something, and in 6 weeks you actually have food. I look at my neighbor plant tomatoes, and I look at the tomatoes one day, and in 3 days the tomatoes are 3 times the size. The tomato tree plants are 3 times the size, right? We have to get into the habit of providing food for our families. People complain that vegetables cost a lot. Yes, they take $25 and buy a chicken meal, a chicken snack. I see people buy food every day at work, right? It's way too salty, right? And people put salt in food that they sell on the street because salt is attractive. We're still consuming too much salt. We have way too much grease that is going to clog up our arteries, that doesn't have enough vegetables, that have a whole lot of rice that's going to make our blood sugars go up very high, right? We can eat, I'm not telling you to eat rice, and I just said eat a whole patty, because some of us eat rice every day, and we won't eat yam because, yam is too parochial. Yeah. It's not. Right? Yam is healthier. It has a lot of fiber. It has a lot of vitamins. Right? And a lot of the food that we grow is still grown in organic, meaning that artificial fertilizers are not used to take care of it. So we have to get into the habit of eating right. And eating right not only speaks to the quality, but to the quantity. Eat too much. Where we get into the habit, and I ask again, you've heard me say this before, where do we get this habit of eating pasta? What is pasta? It's just flour that look cut in different styles. right? Where do we get into the habit of eating pasta every day and giving our children pasta? What's wrong with giving a child a grain of fig with some chicken to go to work and and 2 slices of tomato, some lettuce, right? What's wrong with giving them a piece of yam in there? There's nothing wrong. We have to make it back, make it sexy again. When I came back to Grenada and I see people selling oil down for $25 a box, I was in shock because the oil down is something you should hide in your house and you don't want anybody to know you're eating breadfruit. And then I see medical students going and buy oil down in whichever local restaurant because Miss Mary make the sweetest oil down, right? That's taking us back to who we really are, right? There's a simple thing of cooking one-pot meals that we used to do. We get, you can buy beans and peas very cheap, right? And make a bean soup. You put yam, you pea soup, whatever peas you get. You put yam, you put a piece of breadfruit. I don't like boiled breadfruit, but you can put breadfruit in there. You have sweet potato, you have carrots, you have whatever you want in there.
Tanya, you have the little Tanya.
Yes, Tanya, yes. Whatever it is. You can plant a spinach tree, Popeye spinach. That grows. Spinach proliferates like crazy once you get it going. There's kale. There's so much things that you can eat that we need to eat well. And like I said, portion. That's it. I tell my patients no white food, okay, if they don't know how to eat. No white rice, no white potato, English potato, Irish potato. That's the worst thing. You eat it and your blood sugar shoots up like crazy, right? No pasta, white pasta, no sugar, preferably no white sugar at all. I'm not saying no, but a little bit of sugar in something, but goodness, when we make it, it's like we're making syrup. My grandma used to call it sling. Yeah. Everything is thick and sweet. We have to control all of that, right? We know that we're not supposed to eat more than a teaspoon of salt, the equivalent of a teaspoon of salt, over 24 hours. Not in the pot that of rice and peas that you just done, the rice that you just cook for yourself, or the pot of pasta that you cook and you're going to make a salad and eat it. A teaspoon of salt, a regular flat, level teaspoon of salt in 24 hours. But do you look on the back of your see what it says? Yeah. See how much sodium is in there, okay? And it will tell you what percentage of your required daily amounts is there. And remember, you need to watch and see what a portion is. Learn to read the back of those labels. It will tell you a portion is 1/3 of a can. So if you take if you take a whole can, you've taken 3 times what you're required to take. Okay? Therefore, you're already over budget. Alright? And of course, the whole issue of us getting back active. I know we can do it because I see some people walk for Carnival and dance everywhere for Carnival and dance for 6 and 8 hours. Trust me, we can exercise for half hour a day. And not just us. Let us do this in families. Let's do it with our friends, do it in our communities, right? Ensure we have to ask the government that when I know the government is talking about building new housing communities, we must ensure that there is space for people to walk and have recreation, right? That there is sidewalks so that people who think that the road is air tarmac and want to take off their car and fly and break everybody's foot. But there must be safe places for us to walk. So let's remind the government and the developers that this is what is necessary. And drivers, please, be conscientious because people still want to walk on the road in the morning, okay? And they have a right to walk. And our children need to be free to walk home from school without expecting their books to be thrown one way and them the other way. So exercise is very important. Getting back exercising to school, there must be PE that is not an academic subject for all children of school age. I had to do physical examination when I was going to university, going to medical school. You know why? If I don't do it, I can't graduate. It was part of my whole development. 2 hours a week of physical examination. I won't even tell you what sport I chose because it don't even exist very much on this side of the world. But you have to do 2 hours where you go down to the gym or you go and do athletics or play basketball or whatever it is for 2 hours a week. Guess what? We needed it more than anything for the release from when you have all that work to do. All right? While getting your credits towards the degree. So, eating properly, very important. Can we eat properly? Most of us can. Yes, we can. It doesn't cost a whole lot. People, there's stew peas, and little chunks of stew peas. Peas can be a meat kind, it's full of protein, it's full of vitamins and stuff, right? And then you can cook or whatever other food. But say goodbye to pasta. We're not Chinese people. Okay? Say goodbye to the white rice. That's not our culture. And we have seen how there has been an increase in the amount of people with hypertension and diabetes, and how obesity in our children has advanced simply because we failed to eat the way our grandmother ate. Right? And the way, yes, our grandfather probably eats a big plate of food, but guess what? When he finished eating a big plate of food, he gone and cut and ground.
He go in the mountain?
He gone up in the mountain, no donkey. Okay, and he come down with a bunch of banana and a basket of cocoa on top of his head. So people worked, people walked, people were active, people interacted. Because, I grew up in a community where we had a shop, and the men who worked hard on the farm as laborers in the day, every night came down to get, a little juice, of course, and they sat and they played rummy and they tell story. And half of the larger blessed story I hear was sitting in my grandfather's shop, hearing these men
talking about
prayed like hell. Because I honor my grandmother's skirt, because I know there must be a larger blessed hanging around. But those things, and that was passed on traditional information to our children. But please make sure that we can establish this life balance. I think we should take this post-carnival. We're very happy to have carnival again. I think we should take this post-carnival time as a whole period of renewal for all of us. Mm-hmm. You may have failed in something, you may have not been taking the medication. It's never too late for a shower of rain. Just go there, go to your doctor, get checked, change your diet, support each other, especially get some mental health support. A lot of us have challenges that we don't know how to address. Just go there and get the help, because it is available. Talk to somebody who may be able to help you. Look for challenges, especially in our children who have a lot of mental health problems that we fail to see, and make sure that we can preserve them, we can make them the best human beings they can. But eat properly, exercise. Remember to keep your spiritual life intact. Remember to keep your financial life safe, because we don't have a lot of money, but you always have to save a little something for tomorrow, right? And avoid the stress that all of these deficiencies can bring. Health centers are open. Their services are basically free. You have questions, write your question down. Any question you have, any doubt you have, there's no stupid question when you go to your doctor. I tell my patients, if you have any question, write it down. When you come back next time, make sure you ask me. I don't care what it is. You have to ask questions if you don't understand. Seek information. And of course, my favorite thing to look for information. This is not just talk. This has everything.
Google has all the answers.
Every single thing you'd like to know is here. I consult my phone when I need to get things clear so I can discuss with my patients, right? I consult my phone at time. And I want to change a medication. I have to look for something else. I go in there and I look and say what I want, right? I'm not learning it, but I'm just making sure that I have all the information.
You have the information available.
It is right here. You see it here and you don't understand? Ask a medical or health professional, because this is your time to be well. This is your time to promise yourself long life. Again, remember school opening, take your children to the doctor, take your children to get the eyes checked, give your children a warm medicine, and make sure that, I said eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure they have, you give them their little wash out, and make sure you give them start giving them the vitamins and stuff. Oh, and take your children to get the teeth checked.
Right. Yes, indeed. Well, Doc, I trust that our listeners out there, they've paid attention to all of the information that we've put out. It's very, very important. You had your time, you had your opportunity to celebrate and to do what you had to do. You've come through. It is now time to stop and check yourself. All right. When was the last time you visited your doctor? Well, you need to do so now. All right. If you did not, or if you have not been taking your medication, you need to do so now. You feel a little different, you feel something that you're not accustomed to feeling, call your doctor. All right. Your health is your responsibility. So you need to pay attention, to your bodies. Our bodies talk to us, We just have to listen. And if we do that, we would be able to identify changes and to be able to, do what is required, because we'll be able to ask the questions, we'll be able to relate to our doctors, and so things can be a lot better for us. So, Doc, that's all the time we have for this evening. We're looking forward to be back next Tuesday on Doctor and Paul. We thank our listeners and our viewers. We look forward to being back with you. Tomorrow you can join us. We have our Wednesday evening edition of Release It from 8 o'clock. So be sure to join us for that, all right? So until then, do have a good night. And, hey, your health is your wealth. Doc.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you very much, and all the best.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, indeed.
I remember...